Hey, welcome to an episode of Chat Sports Talk. And welcome to the aftermath of college football week 9. And this is going to be my debut of my Chat Sports Talks PowerPoint Index Top 25 poll. Trying to get this out just ahead of time of the initial college football playoff poll. There's going to be a lot of differences between mine and all the other polls out there. I tend to favor a little bit more heavily on the group of 5 members. I give them a little bit more love. I think the media and coaches give them. Do they really kind of deserve it? Sometimes no. Um, and you'll kind of see more teams that you don't really see a lot of focus on ranked higher than ones that get a lot of media attention. And mine's not really skewed one way or another, so it's not really SEC biased, which you can kind of look at a lot of these polls and see that as the case. Case in point, where you look at the AP and the coaches poll, where Alabama was ahead of Texas, but Texas beat Alabama. But if you look at 9 times, 8 times out of 10, SEC backs up the hype. So you can see why it's skewed that way. But anyways, getting off topic, I love my soapbox. We'll do a quick little overview of how I did last week. Not going to really dive into too much. But I did have one of my the best weeks so far this year. I went 10-2. The only games that tripped me up was Clemson couldn't win at NC State, and then Kentucky couldn't beat Tennessee. All my other games are won pretty much, and one of the biggest upsets last week was Kansas ending Oklahoma's undefeated season, completely taking that entire Big 12 into utter chaos. It's amazing. I predicted Arizona to beat Oregon State, so I saw that one. I did not see Air Force beating Colorado State as much as they did. I think they're favored by 14 and it won by 17. That's I took Colorado for State for the points. Like I said, don't listen to me to half these damn things. I just get lucky half the time. Let's get into my PowerPoint index poll. This one is a point system based. There's a lot of factors kind of go in this one. You get so many points for a victory, so many points for you lose, so many points for a loss. You gain a little bit of points for time losses. Strength of schedule is combined of your win-loss percentage of all opponents you're facing. And then your strength of victory is the combined winning percentage of all the teams you beat. This is all then divided by the amount of games that you play. Taking on an FCS program at the beginning of the season is not going to hurt you as much as if you take them on at the end of the season, which you'll see some of the SEC schools will dip in my polls towards the end of the season because I have that late season game against pretty much a cupcake. So they make it soft towards the end till their big rivalry game. Well, you'll kind of see how that kind of balances things out. So you won't see a lot of programs, a lot of SEC heavy influence in here. And you kind of will probably make fun of how some of these are situated right now. And that's fine. This is just like one aspect. Personally, I wouldn't vote them how it is ranked in this point index. But it's the points, it's the numbers. You input the numbers, you put in the formula you want to utilize, and this is what came out. So let's go ahead and start off with number 25. This is where I put Kansas at 6-2. Like I said, Kansas is one of these teams that had that huge win against Oklahoma, and definitely put the rest of the Big 12 on notice. Is like they're not quite done yet. Above them is Iowa, one of those programs vying for that Big 12 West Division slot. Iowa's not the team to overlook either. Number 23, K-State. The huge game against Texas coming up will really determine the Big 12 pecking order. They have LSU at 22. Now, I know a lot of polls have LSU a lot higher. and I don't see why, really. They struggle against the really good teams. Um, in their game against Alabama, will really determine where they stack up. At 21 is Oklahoma State. Yeah, the Cowboys starting to bounce back after a rough start, rough patch. Now they're really starting to get their stride. The final Big 12 bedlam. Probably won't see this happen again unless they come up with a deal when they make sure they still face off at the end of the year. Come out kind of like what Florida State, Georgia Tech, South Carolina, Clemson do. Maybe they could do that with Oklahoma. Have it guaranteed end of year bash. I don't know. We'll see how that one. Number 20 is Air Force. This is the first of the group of 5 programs. I will have 3 of them in here. As you know, there's no Tulane, like there's other ones. Air Force 8-0. Just steadily putting on a good showing. We'll see how they continue this good pace and stay atop the Mountain West. And this is possibly one of the best Air Force years in recent memory. So we'll see how this one plays out. 19 is Notre Dame. With the Irish, that win against USC is kind of helping them out, but otherwise their victories are against not very good teams, except for Duke and USC. That's about kind of the best 2 they've had. Losing to Louisville and Ohio State does kind of hamper. So I don't have them that high. I don't see them making any type of appearance in the playoffs because a 2-loss team making the playoffs is almost unheard of. There's too many teams that are 1 loss and 0 losses ahead of them to really look at them that aspect. But 19, I think it's kind of respectable. They could be higher, but this is where the points kind of put them. 18, North Carolina, losing 2 straight, especially losing to Georgia Tech. Really dropped them out a lot of polls. But point-wise, I still have a very good resume in terms of strength of schedule, strength of victory. Still pretty much in contention for ACC title slot, so we'll see what happens. 17 is USC. They have struggled. As you know, USC is over Notre Dame. Notre Dame beat USC, so even my polls, this PowerPoint index doesn't even get that right. But that's because of how the Pac-12 is stacked right now with really quality teams. We'll see how that one plays out. Utah's ahead of them at 6-2. They're a quality team. Just got manhandled by Oregon, so we'll see if that hampers them at all. 15, undefeated Liberty, which is not in any polls, partly because they're playing Conference USA. Conference that doesn't really have a lot of sway, but I got them at 15. Mizzou at number 14 at 7-1 at the 2.954 point mark, getting close to and have a huge game against Georgia. It will help either one of them out in terms of strength of victory. They beat each other, so it doesn't really matter. But I think more rides on Georgia taking it than Mizzou. Ahead of Mizzou is Oregon. That team is really starting to move up. I know Oregon's higher than a lot of other polls. Once again, it's that strength of schedules kind of brings strength of victory, brings it down a bit. I know the game winning against Utah really helped them out. We'll see how that kind of goes from there. James Madison, number 12. Not eligible. That's why you see the funky color there. They're not eligible this year, even though they really should be. 8-0. Just steady and just win. I mean, they had scare against Old Dominion, which I figured they would. They still came out victorious at the other end, but not be able to compete for the Sun Belt Championship or any bowl game is really going to hamper them. Why they're really going this detailed in, I don't know. I think it's just more pride. Just so, see, this is what we do when we're not eligible. Imagine if you come here and we're eligible and what damage we can do then. So, I think it's more of recruiting really helped this program up. This program is one of these programs in FCS that I knew was going to make the jump up and was ready to make the jump up, needed to make the jump up, and wants to become eligible, they're probably going to start ruling the Sun Belt for a couple seasons. And above them, at number 11, I have Penn State. Now, Penn State should be a interesting matchup. That third wheel right there in the Big Ten East. We'll see what they do with the game when they face off against Michigan later on. They already lost Ohio State, and that was a grueling matchup. But Penn State has a problem with Michigan and Ohio State. They can't seem to get over those two. They beat Michigan. That really throw a monkey wrench, especially if Penn State beats Michigan and then Michigan beats Ohio State. Now all three of them have one loss. Who goes? Yeah, there's going to be a conundrum right there. But anyways, I said they're a little worth 3 points, just like James Madison as well, over 3 points. And just sniffing that top 10, I know, of course, other polls, they're higher than that. Now, my top 10, it's definitely going to be different from a lot of other ones because I have a few programs up here that probably shouldn't be. Definitely not ranked as others would have it. At number 10, Ole Miss. Their only stumbling block was unable to beat Alabama. That was struggling at the time frame. That's so far the only black eye they have. They continue to roll. They continue this, and Alabama struggles for 2 games. They're heading to Atlanta. Where they're going, they're definitely going to get probably a New Year's Six Bowl. And if it was a 12-team playoff format, they would be in. Above them is Oklahoma after their fiasco against Kansas. Dropped them to number 9. Now, the Sooners are still a very a quality team that's definitely going to make some noise in the rest of the Big 12 season. But they got to take on that feisty Oklahoma State coming up. We'll see how that one kind of pans out between them. Number 8, Louisville. Louisville doesn't get a lot of love in the other polls. The way they dominated against the Irish was unheard of, and they did the same thing against Duke. This team is no joke. If Louisville and Florida State ends up going to Charlotte to battle for the ACC, it's going to be a slobber knocker between these two. Can Louisville's defense stop that potent Florida State offense? Can Louisville's offense operate? I mean, it's going to be a good matchup. Those two make it right now. I got them number 8. We'll see how it goes for the rest of the season. Number 7, Alabama. 7-1. Right now, there's not much in their way. I mean, they got LSU coming up. In Auburn, 2 tough outs for them. We'll see how they handle those 2 games. And see if they can make it back to Atlanta for another shot at SEC title. Number 6 is Texas. Now, this is interesting because Oklahoma beat Texas, but now Texas is sitting higher than Oklahoma, much higher. But Texas is doing well, especially with Ur being out. Now they've gone to their the backup kid. I can't remember his name top of my head. But they're just doing extremely well. So we'll see what they do against K-State, who's on a resurgence right now in this season. So should be interesting to see that matchup happen up. And then my top 5. And number 5, I'm going to irritate pretty much everyone that's watching this. Is Georgia. Now everyone's going, why is Georgia number 5? I had Georgia, if I would have this poll out last week, I think I had Georgia 8. So, it's who they beat. They're slowly starting to build up because you get that game. They won against Tennessee. They won against Florida. So they have teams that they have winning records against that they've beaten. And as long as they can continue to do that and continue to move up, Georgia will get up there eventually because I have a feeling, the top teams will probably knock each other out, especially if you got Michigan and Ohio State still pending. But I think the reason why I got Georgia there is because the strength of victory is slightly lower than some of the other ones. And I think everyone's strength of schedule is about the same. But we'll see how the rest of the season pans out. Number 4, Washington. Now I think Washington right now is the premier number 1 right now. The game against USC coming up will really determine if they are for real. I mean, they already beat Oregon, but it was a good close game, and we'll have to get Oregon again in Vegas for the Pac-12 title. That'd be pretty epic, I think, in my books. But definitely a program you got to definitely watch out for. Ohio State, number 3. Now, one of the things that really helped the Buckeyes thus far is the wins against Notre Dame and Penn State, 2 quality programs, only 3 losses combined, and this really helped them out moving forward. And number 2 is Michigan. Michigan's barely got them over them at 0.05 points ahead of them. We'll kind of see how that's coming up, but Michigan still has games against Penn State, Ohio State coming up, so that'll definitely determine who's going to take that, Big Ten crown. And my number 1, Florida State. Personally, I would not have Florida State there. Personally, I would have Georgia number 1. I think I have Georgia and Florida State switched if I did it personally. But number-wise, right now, everything points towards Florida State. They still have a game against Florida coming up at the end of the year. That should be a dandy of a one. And if they continue their undefeated track in conference play, they'll have the game in Charlotte, more likely against Louisville. So sky's the limit for the Seminoles right now. I think if they can win out, they're in the playoffs. I think if Washington wins out, they're in the playoffs. I think Georgia wins out, they're in the playoffs. And it's between Michigan and Ohio State for the Big Ten. I think that's where we're sitting at. Oklahoma's got hope for chaos to ensue and have, Washington lose. I said earlier, Penn State knock off Michigan, and then Michigan knock off Ohio State. Then Oklahoma wins out. And so Oklahoma get in. I mean, there's so many different scenarios and different angles and what-ifs and determine the top 4, which some people really love. In terms of me, I love the 12-team format. It doesn't take anything away from the season. A lot of people think it does. It doesn't. It just gives you more schools opportunity to participate. But there you go. That's my initial top 25 out before hopefully the college football playoff poll comes out. So that way when I do my pick and preview video for week number 10, which is going to be a dandy of a video, a lot of key matchups coming up that really determine picking orders and a lot of games coming up. And I probably will have a bad week next week. I ain't foreseeing it now. But go ahead and just let me know which team do you think should be in here. I'm sure there's quite a few teams that probably deserve it. James Madison, Liberty probably should be lower. Probably should bring Tulane in. I know that's one that's probably missing. I already know I'm going to hear about Georgia being number 5. But it's where I have them in terms of points. Things can change. Programs can come out of nowhere and start dropping like flies. North Carolina is a prime example, dropping 2 in a row. So Mac Brown's got hands busy right now trying to rectify their situation, try to get at least one more victory and not go in the playoff or go in the bowl season as 6-6. Can the Irish come in at 10-2, find themselves heading towards a Orange Bowl possibly? Well, probably not Orange Bowl, but New Year's Six Bowl. Can Air Force continue their march and lead the group in the New York Six? That would be amazing if one of the military academies got one of the slots. Probably be amazing when they play it, but hey, you never know. When Boise State took on Oklahoma during the BCS era, no one thought Boise State had a shot. Now, note, I was corrected before when I called Boise State the original BCS Buster. That was Utah. That I think it was the year prior. They took on Pitt, but that wasn't a surprise. Everyone picked Utah to beat Pitt. Pitt was like, why is Pitt in here? Because that's when the Big East was still around and kind of a weak sauce of a conference. But anyways, sidetrack. Let me know down below. Let's be nice, be civilized. Let's mix it up in the comments. If you like my content, especially what entertainment I provide you, go ahead and hit that thumbs up for me. It really pleases YouTube guys. It really helps promote this video out. You also subscribe. Over 9% of you are not subscribed. Why not? Apparently, you like my stuff. You're here. You've already towards the end of this video. It doesn't cost you anything. Absolutely free. You just hit that subscribe button. Click that bell icon and turn on the notification. Let you know next time I post any more content on my channel. And I'll see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.